So behind each of these flowers is a perforated outline, and when you pull the leaf, it tears that perforation and reveals a surprise behind it, like this. This leaf pulls up this flower, and this leaf pulls up this flower. So let's get started. These are the supplies I'll be using to make the pull tab flower card today. Cardstock in all of these colors, a pattern, 3 shades of pink, light and dark yellow, green, and white. We also have a good quality paper glue, a scraper, and a rounded handle. This is a brush, or you can use anything you like to help shape the flowers. A craft knife, a pen or marker, scissors, and twine. I'll also be using this self-healing mat and some soft squishy foam for when I'm shaping the flowers. Next, we're going to put the SVG for this whole card into Design Space, and I'll show you how to make just a couple of quick edits before we go on to cutting out all of the layers. Open up a new project in Design Space and click Upload. Click Upload Image and browse, and then navigate to the spot on your computer where you have saved the SVG for this class. Click Upload, and then it'll bring you back here where you can see everything you've uploaded. Click on the card image and Add to Canvas. It will pull into Design Space at the right size, 5 by 7 inches. And you can see that right now everything's grouped together. We need to adjust a couple of the layers before we cut anything. So click Ungroup and start pulling the pieces away. We have a group of flowers, a group of leaves, stems, and then we have these 2 white layers, and the blue represents our background layer. So when this design pulls into Design Space, all of these lines are set as cut lines. That's just how the software works. So we need to ungroup these 4 cut lines, the rectangle and the curved lines that are going to be perforated, and change it from basic cut to perforate. So click each of those 3 curved lines. You can also select them from the layers panel on the side and make sure each one of those is now a dotted line that represents perforate. Now we need to attach these all together so that they stay in the same spot in relation to each other. So select those shapes, hit attach, and then we can move it off to the side. Then this layer here, these circles are directly underneath where the perforated part is going to tear and peel away and reveal what's underneath. So we're going to go to Unsplash. It's a great website to find high quality free images you can use for whatever you want. So let's say we're going to give this to someone as a gift and say we're going to take them out to brunch and a spa day. So I found a picture of a waffle, and you just save that to the computer, and then we'll go back in and find a couple more images. We're going to search for a massage next. This one here, yeah, this one worked just fine. So click that, and then we just need to save the small image. And then again, that just saves on the computer. And finally, we'll search for facial. So you would just repeat this process with whatever images you want to have show up in your surprise card. Okay, so now we're going to upload these 3 pictures into Design Space. Pretty similar process as before. Since it's an image, we need to choose complex. If we go simple or moderately complex, it decreases the quality of the picture. So apply and continue. Make sure you choose print then cut image and upload. And then again, you're going to repeat with the other pictures. Brings them into Design Space so that we can add them to our card. Once you have everything uploaded, you can come in here, select all of them at once, and add to canvas. So they're going to get pulled in here into Design Space, and I'm going to show you how to turn these pictures into the circles that are going to get printed on our card. So you need to ungroup that, just like we did for the other white layer. And it's really important that these circles stay in the same place. Don't move them around because they need to line up with the perforated layer. But over in the Layers panel, you can select one of the circles, bring the image over on top of it, and then with the circle selected, hit Control and then click on the picture. And then that means both of them are selected. You can hit Slice and delete away the extra piece. And now we have our beautiful waffle picture right here. You can click on the circle underneath and just delete it. And repeat the same process with the other two circles and the other two pictures. Select the circle, drag the picture over to cover it up and line it up. Select the circle and the picture by clicking one, hitting Control, and clicking the other. And with both of them selected, hit Slice, and it does, kind of the cookie cutter, right? You get the circle shape out of the middle, delete the extra, delete the black circle, and then same thing with the last one. So it's really easy to pull in activities that you want to do or a logo for a restaurant or store that you're going to visit. It's just a real fun way to add something else to a card. Okay, now again, we need to make sure that these print in exactly the same spot where we want them to be. So select each circle and the rectangle and hit Flatten. That means that each of these things will print, but the Cricut is only going to cut the rectangle outline. Okay, before we move on to cutting, let me just show you another way that you could alter this design if you don't have a maker or don't have the perforation wheel. Instead of making these all perforation lines, you can make them drawing lines so that the Cricut, instead of cutting, will just draw with the pen. Then you'll still attach everything together, and then you can make little cuts with an X-Acto knife by hand. All right, and then the same thing here. If you're not going to use print then cut, you can have the Cricut just turn each of these into a drawn pen line, and then attach everything, and then you can handwrite a message or do something else in that spot that's going to be revealed as the surprise. The first thing we need to do is cut some slit marks in our perforation layer so that we can tuck the leaves behind that will act as the pull tab. So grab your X-Acto knife and set it down on a mat, and then lay the leaf where it's going to go. And it's going to go directly across from where there's no perforation line at all. That's the place where it's going to bend backwards. And you want the leaf opposite of that. So use the leaf as a guide for about how much you need to cut through with the knife. And then slide the leaf in to check. You just want part of it behind there, and we'll glue that in just a minute. So repeat that with the other two leaves. Again, line the leaf up opposite from where it's going to fold and cut through some of the perforation lines so you get a slit for the leaf to slide in. If you are cutting your own perforation lines by hand, this is the point when you would do that. Just follow the line that the pen drew and make tiny little cuts in the paper, and then you'll still make a larger slit for the leaf. And you can always go back and make that slit a little bit bigger if you need to. So go on the short side first and then make adjustments if you need to. Now we're going to give a little bit of shape to our leaves. I've just put it down on my pressing mat for my Cricut Easy Press, and using that straight line, just press a little fold in there, then slide each leaf into its little slot, And then we'll use some glue to attach them on the back side. This glue that I'm using has a fine point, so it's really nice to get in there, and you can kind of fold the leaf out away from the white paper a little bit to get some glue down in there, then fold it back down flat. Repeat with each of the leaves where it sticks towards the back, and each of those things is just going to be glued to the part that pulls away from the perforation. Next, we're going to glue it to our printed surprise layer. And you want to get glue around each of the images, but make sure that you don't get any glue on the images. We want the perforated layer to be stuck down really well, but to not be glued to those pictures. We want it to be able to release up freely when it bends back. I'll use the other side of my glue that has a wider kind of spreader tip to get some of these bigger areas. And then add your perforation layer, line it up as best you can before you set it down. You don't want to wiggle it around too much and get any glue onto the pictures. Now take some time to shape all your flower petal layers. Like I have this brush handle, and I'm just pressing it around in the center. We're just trying to give them a little bit of dimension so that they stick up from the card and just look a little cooler. You can also fold up the edges with a straight edge. I like to do that especially for these bottom layers. And since these flower shapes I just drew by hand and turned into a cut outline, they're really designed to look a little more natural, and so whatever curve you add to them is fine. However they're layered up is fine. There's not just one way that they have to be assembled. For one final touch, we're going to add a little bit of decoration right in the center. I just drew a few lines out from the middle and then drew a little dot at the end of each one. Now we want to glue this onto our background before we add the flowers because we want to be able to press it down flat, and it'll be harder to do that once we have the flowers added to the front. So spread some glue on the back of the white layer, center it onto the background layer, and press it down to stick. I'm also going to add it to the front of a pre-made 5x7 card. So if you have one laying around already, go ahead and use that, or you can make your own with plain cardstock. You can see how this will be a lot harder to do if our 3D flowers were already added to the front. Okay, now let's finish decorating the front of the card. Line up the stems where you'd like them to go. I had each one kind of come out from where the flower is going to fold down. So just add a little bit of glue. And then lay them each down on the card. And you want to make sure you have one spot where they intersect because that's where we'll put our twine bow at the end. Then for the flowers, start with the bottom layer, of course, and you just need a circle of glue in the center. So we want to make sure that we don't get any glue on the perforated line that would make it harder for that to tear when the flower is being pulled back. So just go around and do all of the bottom layers, then all of the middle layers, and then all of the top layers. Each layer gets a chance to finish drying and stick better so that it doesn't shift out of place when you add the next piece. The last thing to do is just tie a little bow in the twine. And I don't have any tricks or magic way to do this. Just tie a bow and fidget with it a little bit until it looks like it's the right shape and size. So just set it where you want it to go and then trim the little end pieces. And then all it takes is a little drop of glue to hold it into place. And here you have it. Here's your completed pull tab flower surprise card. If you've attached it to a regular card, you can write any message in there that you want and maybe even include a note for the person to pull down on the leaves to reveal their surprise. I hope you've enjoyed this class. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time, I will see you around the internet.